Hi everybody, it's Paul here again from Ballistic Blood Bullets with the unveiling of the Steelbook DVD disc edition of The Curse of the Werewolf. Been waiting for this one, and it is a limited edition DVD Steelbook release. It's from Hammer Horror Movie Studios, and those of you who are fans of horror and movies in general will be well aware that this was one of the early roles for Oliver Reed, and the film was made in 1961 from Hammer Film Studios, and Oliver Reed was a mere 23 years of age when he made this film. And of course it's in the traditions of any Wolfman werewolf movie. He is afflicted with the curse of the werewolf, and he's living as a youth, growing up in Spain and the Spanish countrysides, but the curse of the werewolf is upon him and his family, and when he comes of age, of course, the full moon appears, and so do the signs of becoming a werewolf. Now, this was first made, as I say, in 1961 from Hammer Studios, and Oliver Reed at the time was no stranger to Hammer Studios, because he pretty much, his early films and his learning his trade were very much thanks to Hammer Studios and director Terence Fisher, who directed this very film, Curse of the Werewolf. But it wasn't Oliver Reed's first film for Hammer Studios. He actually first appeared in 1960, appearing alongside Richard Green, who was in one of his most famous on-screen character roles as Robin Hood. And this film was also directed by Terence Fisher, and of course the role of Robin Hood was for the film Sword of Sherwood Forest. And another connection with Hammer Films and Oliver Reed, he actually had the opportunity to appear with Peter Cushing, who in Sword of Sherwood Forest played the bad guy role of the Sheriff of Nottingham. But it's the Curse of the Werewolf that we're looking at. And as I say, this is the Steelbook edition. We have the front cover. Just to turn over to look at the reverse, all very nicely done. And some classic screenshots from the film. And we have Oliver Reed himself, and he was actually the guy made up for the film, using the good old style from the Universal Studios type of makeup. No silly CGI here. He was the man in the werewolf monster makeup. And this, as we can see here, is a limited edition. There are just 2,000 of these steelbooks, and this is number 1718. And if not already, I should say that these would have been snapped up on pre-order, and most likely already this is an out-of-print production. The only well, there's a couple of downsides. One of the downsides for me is that it has been released on DVD rather than Blu-ray, which is a great shame. You'd have thought that they would have actually been able to have come up with a high definition print of the film to be able to release it in a Blu-ray format. But having said that, this is better to have than not, and it is highly collectible. And first and foremost, I am a fan of Hammer films, and particularly Curse of the Werewolf. Very, very good film. Be really good to revisit after quite some time, so definitely be checking this out sooner rather than later. The other downside is, unfortunately, that this front cover and also the reverse, this is actually naughtily stuck on. It's extremely well stuck on and glued down, so it's unlikely to peel off or cause any artifact damage. But really, for goodness sake, I mean, there should be no excuse for putting on a sticker on a steelbook. That's really disappointing. really, really disappointing. I mean, it is, as I say, very nicely done, which is good, but we don't really want to see something that is actually stuck on to something that's really a prized collectible that we all enjoy being able to pick up. I mean, limited or not, it would have surely not taken much more effort to have actually done a really good, cool job on this, and delivered a true steelbook that had the artwork actually engraved, embossed upon the steelbook itself. So, a bit of a letdown there, unfortunately. Now, just to open up the steelbook and have a look inside, what we do actually get here is some nice actual postcards, poster art card. There's a selection here in the sealed cellophane still. It's likely the way that I will keep these, being a fan of the film but also a collector as well, like most of you guys. But this is a nice little addition to have to the steelbook, so that's something. Again, just to touch on another bugbear really, which is the fact that when we have these nice steelbook editions released, we do like to see them with interior artwork to back off the discs and just really set them off. So this is bare bones again, unfortunately. So although it's really nice to have this in a steelbook edition, a nice release, it would have been something really special if they'd have just taken that extra little bit of time to pay more attention to detail, particularly as the outlay for this was it's one of these ones a little bit more expensive. It was about £22, so you know, you're looking at about sort of 30 odd American dollars, so it's not the cheapest of steelbooks. Now, I guess that the price has been hiked up a bit purely because of the fact that we are looking at a limited release, but there we are. It could have been just that bit better, so a little bit of a shame there, but overall, as I say, it's really nice to be able to say that the Curse of the Werewolf gets a new lease of life. And again, just to touch back on Oliver Reed, who is the star of this film, and he was definitely at the peak of his popularity during this period, and throughout the 60s he made some of his best stuff, and he wasn't a stranger to the world of Hammer films. They really gave him a kickstart to his young career. Other roles that he appeared in for Hammer Studios was the Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll in 1960, and that was for director Terence Fisher, and there he had the opportunity to star or appear alongside the great Christopher Lee, and he was also able to appear alongside Christopher Lee just a couple of years later in 1962, also for Hammer Studios, and that was in the film The Pirates of Blood River. Good action, blood and thunder, swords and pirate fantasy film that had that Hammer seal of rated R, I would say, for the time, and a very, very cool movie indeed. That was followed up in 1963 by Paranoiac. That was from director Freddie Francis, and he also made a film called The Damned, also in 1963, a little scene sci-fi film, but again from Hammer Studios. So definitely made a lot for Hammer, and Hammer did a lot for him, no question about it. Oliver Reed is no stranger to newspapers and headlines and drinking and all that sort of thing later in his life, but during this period he definitely made some very, very good films. And it was then, when the 70s came along, that controversy started to follow him and filmmakers that you were using him in front of the camera. And one of the most famous, of course, and infamous is The Devils from 1971, which was from director Ken Russell. And of course Oliver Reed from that point on really was no stranger to controversy, front page news, for all the wrong reasons, unfortunately. But he was also, as I say, very much not a stranger to horror, and it may well be that he didn't forget that, because in 1976 he made a very interesting return to the horror genre, and he appeared alongside Hollywood legend Bette Davis, no less, in a very cool little haunted house horror chiller called Burnt Offerings. Very much worth checking out as well. Very stylish horror film of its time. And thereafter, really, it was heading into the 80s and the 90s, and Oliver Reed didn't do himself the greatest of favours. He was more in the news for the wrong reasons and making less and less big movies. He really fell into the fodder of 80s action, low-budget movies. He made some good ones here and there, but really he was in the wilderness, just really making drinking money, so to speak, unfortunately. But he'll never be forgotten. He made some iconic films, and he actually had a bit of a renaissance towards the end of his career as well. And he appeared in films such as Gladiator. Gladiator was his last film, sadly, but it was a great performance, and it was a return to form, and it showed that Oliver Reed, the man, the actor, really still could act. But The Curse of the Werewolf is one of the movies that he will be remembered most fondly for, and it is really good that this has got a release to DVD, and in this pretty good, I will say, Steelbook edition, even with the shortcomings that I've touched upon. But there we are, there we have it. This is the limited edition to 2000 DVD Steelbook release of Hammer horror films The Curse of the Werewolf. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. See you all soon. Bye for now.